Welcome back to EDU-Tutor. Today we're looking at migration as a subtopic under production in principles of business. Right? So migration can be defined as the permanent movement of workers from one location to the next in search of better opportunities. So migration can happen within a country or outside of a country. So a person moving from one country to another. No, that gives us two types of migration. We have internal and we have external migration. Internal migration is migration within a country. So persons can move from the rural to the urban area or from the urban to the rural area. The most common one is rural to urban migration. This is the migration of persons from rural communities to the city areas. External migration, on the other hand, is migration of persons from one country to another. For example, the migration of Caribbean people to developed countries such as the United States of America and England. What are the effects of migration? So, in three subheadings, these are the most common for internal rural to urban migration. The first one, the loss of persons from rural areas will impact the level of output and development of those areas. So, people are moving from the agriculture areas to the city areas. So, the agriculture areas, there won't be enough laborers to be on the farms, and we know that agriculture is one of the main sources of income or the main sources of output, which we need for export so that we can earn foreign exchange. So that's a negative effect of migration. The next one is that it also impacts negatively on the level of commodities available for export from those regions. And the influx of workers in the urban areas will lead to an increase in competition for jobs, houses, health facilities, and schools. And this is the reason why um, rent will be so high in those areas because there's an increased need for housing. All right, so this table has the positive and negative effects of internal migration. Positive effect, it reduces overcrowding and pressure on cities. So, if we have migration from the urban area to the rural area, it would reduce overcrowding in the city areas and the pressure that it usually has. It also encourages development of rural communities, and it's a lower cost of living for migrants. So please note this slide is looking at urban to rural migration, right? So those are some positive effects. It also improves the quality of life because there's going to be a less congestion and pollution. So the city areas, a lot of fumes, so it's a polluted area. When you move to the rural areas, the atmosphere is cleaner. It also promotes balanced population distribution. However, we also have negative effects of rural, urban to rural migration. Now, those include loss of skilled labor in rural areas, limited access to healthcare and education in rural areas, fewer job opportunities and lower wages, poor infrastructure and transportation, and slower career growth and fewer professional networks. Now, let us look at external migration. And we're looking at Caribbean to developed countries. Professional and skilled workers who migrate will reduce the level of skills available in the countries, which will result in what is known as the brain drain effect, right? And that will impact the country's growth and development. It also will increase competition for jobs, houses, health facilities, and schools in the new territories. Money earned by Caribbean nations in foreign countries is sent home to support their families, reducing poverty and making foreign exchange available for their respective countries. And then lastly, Caribbean professionals and skilled workers contribute to the growth of developed nations. So instead of contributing to the growth of their own nations, they will contribute to the growth of other nations. All right, so there's a mistake there. But positive and negative effects of external migration. So we're continuing. Positive remittances increase household income and national revenue. Access to better employment and education opportunities, transfer of skills, knowledge, and technology, reduces unemployment in home country, and improves standard of living. The negative effects brain drain in source countries, family separation and social strain, cultural adjustment challenges, risk of exploitation or discrimination, and loss of young and productive population. Now, you are most likely asking, how does migration relate to production? The big answer to that is that labor is a factor of production, right? And labor is the humans, right? So if your labor, if the people in your country is moving away, who is going to be there to produce goods and services? So we need to note who is moving, who is migrating, and how productive are the people who are left in our country to produce the goods and services that we need. All right. So ensure that you think about that question and think of some possible questions that could come on migration and production. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.